How's it going, hockey fans? This is episode 66 of the Clappercast. I'm Burke, and as always, I'm joined by my co-host Sean. Sean, what's going on today?
You know, it was a pretty slow week. I think most of the teams and most of the players were doing what we were all doing, working off the turkey hangovers. But we got a little bit of action that happened around the league this week. So we'll cut back in with some more free agent signings. We're gonna jump back down to Matt Nieto, who signed back with San Jose. So that's where he started his career.
Wait. You mean Long Beach native Matt Nieto?
The one and only Long Beach
you
native Matt Nieto.
You have to clarify, otherwise you could be talking about another guy.
Right. I mean, it's the only way to respect someone by saying their full name. You know, you go Matt Nieto, it's like just calling someone by their last name. You got to go Long Beach native, like his first name, Matt Nieto, like his last name, right?
Absolutely.
So, Long Beach native Matt Nieto, he's back with the San Jose Sharks, signed a 1-year, $700,000 deal. Probably just good for some depth scoring. He's actually a really consistent third line, fourth line player. He gets like 20 points a year just guaranteed out of him, so that's pretty good for them, I think.
Yeah, kind of sucks to go from Colorado back to the Sharks, but maybe they're a bunch of nice guys.
At this point, the teams, yeah.
Go from one of the best.
Maybe he'll
teams.
Do well getting Carlson and Burns feeding him, but I guess he had Makar in Colorado anyways.
Yeah, true.
We've got Patrick Marleau also re-signed in San Jose. So the notable thing about this signing is that I believe he's 44 games away from setting the all-time games played record, from passing Gordie Howe in that. So assuming they play a full season, assuming he stays relatively healthy, that record will be his within the next season.
Pretty legit.
So that'll be, it's gonna be really cool to see one of these all-time records that you don't think of as ever being something that could be broken given how long Gordie Howe's career was. But we could potentially see this one broken like within the next 8 months here. Yeah,
that's remarkable. It's having been in the league for so long, and having been around and played pretty much every game, is just remarkable. So I hope that he ends up getting a full season in. I mean, no matter they want to play a full season this season, but hopefully for that record's sake, we'll get one. But I mean, Ovechkin kind of got robbed of a full season again, so who knows what'll happen? But hopefully Marleau can pass that, because that would be remarkable if he could do that.
Yeah, and you mentioned that it's pretty amazing how over his career he's played pretty much every single game, and that is not an exaggeration. He's never missed more than like 6 or 8 games in a season. Like he's always
he's
playing
a true Iron
74.
Man.
Yeah. Like even last year he was even there all like, let's see here, I'm just counting back. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He had like 10 straight seasons of all 82 games, or all games played, which is just incredible in the current NHL.
Yeah,
so massive props to him for sticking around for that long, and I really hope we get to see the 44, 45 games played this season from him.
Yeah, me too. I guess to kind of jump off that, that's one vet coming back to San Jose, but there's one that won't be coming back, and that's Jumbo.
Yeah, so that was the big news of the week, when was Joe Thornton signing a 1-year deal with the Toronto Maple Leafs.
Yeah.
But same thing as Matt Nieto, actually,
wild.
1 year, $700,000 contract with Toronto. So after him and Marleau kind of, well, I guess him especially being in San Jose for so long, now we're going to get to see him follow in Patrick Marleau's footsteps and test it out in Toronto for a bit.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes, because Jumbo was quoted as saying, I need to have a Stanley Cup, and this is a team that gives me a good shot at that. Of course, I'm paraphrasing, but I don't know if Toronto's the team to go to for that. But
right now, I mean, is Joe Thornton the NHL's most like iconic, doesn't have a cup win player, the player to put the Toronto Maple Leafs over the top?
I don't know, man. I mean, I guess it's just cheap depth.
It
really
is. And ultimately, I mean, he's going to be an awesome presence around the locker room. He's spent a ton of years in the league. He's been an excellent superstar player, like one of the best playmakers the game has ever seen. So he's going to be a great presence to have around. And
he has been past the first round too.
Yeah, and he has been past the first round, which is important. Now, it also might give him a chance to finally score 4 goals in one game. if he gets a shot with, let's say, like Marner or one of the better players there. So
Yeah, we could see that. That would be awesome.
I don't know what I want more: Joe Thornton to win a cup or Joe Thornton to score 4 goals in one game.
in Game 7 of a Cup Finals, he'll score 4, and then we'll see.
You've made
both.
it even better.
Yeah. One thing I wanted to mention about this signing is that apparently Jason Spezza offered Jumbo his number, 19, and Jumbo refused, so he'll wear what I believe is 97?
97.
The first Maple Leaf to ever wear that number.
Yeah, he's trying to channel his inner Connor McDavid energy.
I guess so. I think is that the number that he wears that he wore for Team Canada, 97? I think it might have been.
I can't remember.
But it was a classy move by Spezza to offer that up, and another classy move by Jumbo to just say, no, you know what, you've been on the team longer than me, and I appreciate it, but I'm the new guy here, so I'll
that's
take
the funny thing
number.
too. It's like normally the whole offer your number up to the vet is like, it's like a rookie or guy's like a second or third year offering it to a 10-year pro. But you've got Jason Spezza, who's been in the league almost as long as Joe Thornton, offering up his number.
Yeah, so I just looked it up here. Jumbo has worn 97 for Team Canada before, so
it's his draft year, so he's probably got that. He's fine with that number too.
Yeah, plus 19 is just such a. When he was playing for Team Canada, there were so many legends that were wearing 19. So, you had Sakic and Yzerman, and so it makes sense that he would have to have picked something else. So yeah, I mean it's going to be interesting to see him on yet another team. See if that's what can push the Leafs out of the first round. Maybe this is lining up to be a really good timeline with Jumbo Joe scoring against Boston on the Leafs.
Oh, you are
end of his career.
You are so right. He could
just
be
that dagger.
Yeah, I was just gonna say he could be that dagger that finally ends the Bruins' curse over Toronto.
Back in the division, bitch. What's going on?
Sticking on the topic of the Toronto Maple Leafs and things that might push them over the top, they've got a new backup goalie this year as well in Aaron Dell. Signed him away from the San Jose Sharks, who are going with the 2A, 2B pairing in Martin Jones and Devin Dubnyk. So Aaron Dell actually has a decent track record with San Jose. He was kind of one of their better option. He was their better option in net for the last couple seasons. And Toronto, I mean, they've had a backup goalie carousel the last couple of years, cycling through like Hutchinson and Kaskasuo and Jay Campbell. So hopefully he'll be able to provide some stability in that position. And probably the key would be a reliable option other than Freddie Anderson to help take some of the pressure off of Anderson throughout the year.
Is Jack Campbell still signed for this year? I thought he was.
Let's find out. There's no way that he takes the spot over Aaron Dell at this point, I don't think. Yeah, he signed for another 2 years, so I guess they actually have a battle for the backup goalie spot.
Yeah, Dell's on a 1-year $800K deal, and Campbell's got a couple more years at 1.65, so we'll see who
It'll
gets
be interesting.
that spot.
I see Dell as the better option. I mean, he put up great numbers in a couple of seasons with San Jose while they were still doing really well, and he's played 20, 29, 25, 33 games over the last handful of years here, so I think it's probably his spot to lose.
Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, Campbell only played a few games with the Leafs, but I think he was overall pretty good with them, but we'll see after camp what happens, and then what happens during the season. Having a surplus of serviceable goalies is not a bad thing to have. So.
Especially we've talked about the possible importance of being able to rotate through a lot of goalies with a really condensed and jam-packed schedule. So, having another serviceable NHL goalie is probably not a bad option, like you said, to help teams cope with potentially having like 4 games in 5 nights.
Yeah, definitely. I guess we're on the Toronto train here, so let's talk about another former Leaf in Cody Ceci. He signed a, let me see here, 1-year deal,
million.
1.25 with the Pittsburgh Penguins. So Pittsburgh got rid of a bad D-man and has brought a couple back in.
Rutherford just has this
so,
real ability to just bring in defenders who aren't actually great at defending. He's got some weird penchant for them.
Yeah, I was taking a look on like some forums, and Penguins fans were not happy. Some of them were trying to do the classic, Cody Cece's underutilized or misused or whatever. The same thing that Leafs fans were saying when he came to Toronto from Ottawa. And there's just a lot of people from the Leafs and from Ottawa saying, you know what, this guy's not that good. So you're getting what you get here. You got rid of Schultz and Jack Johnson, but you've got Matheson and Cody Cece.
Can't wait for those two to be a pairing.
I mean, they've got Sergei Gonchar as a D coach, but
isn't Gonchar more of an offensive defenseman anyways?
He's worked his magic before. Yeah. He's worked his magic before on people. I mean, Schultz had a couple good years there. Kind of revitalized his career a bit, but has really struggled defensively since. So I don't like this move if I'm a Penguins fan, which I very much am not. As a non-Penguins fan, I like it. I think it's going to be interesting. I don't know. I mean, we were talking about this in goalies a while back about how some guys just keep getting opportunities. And is Cody Cece kind of the same thing because he's got a right-handed shot? Is it just...
You make a good point. That could very well be something that keeps him relevant. That if, say, he were a left shot, he might get pushed down, the free agent boards or whatever the teams have to evaluate the players. But because he's got a right shot, that might kind of give him an advantage over a similarly skilled left-hand defenseman.
And the fact that his draft pedigree is like first round, 15th overall. Yeah. So some people might value that. But, I mean, even with the eye test, he doesn't look great. So interesting for a team like Pittsburgh. I can't get a sense of which direction they're moving in. Like, did they get better?
I definitely don't think so. I mean, they lost Matt Murray. They lost Patrick Hornquist. They are bringing in Matheson and Cody Cece. I mean, yeah, that's probably about an equal swap on the defenseman. But the team's getting older, and they're not bringing in anything significant enough to mitigate that.
Yeah, I mean, they haven't really brought anyone substantial back in. One of the most prominent people is like Mark Jankowski. So, well, no knock to him. He's a good player, but I just don't see them.
I think it's kind of one of those things where it's like the very tail end of their cup window, of their success window, and they don't have the assets anymore to continue to build that same level of competitiveness year after year, and they're slowly just starting to have to downgrade everything because that's just what's happening. It's in business terms, the assets depreciating.
Yeah. One deal that we didn't talk about, just kind of reminded of, was that the Oilers, similar to Dell with Toronto, is that they signed Anton Forsberg to a 1-year cheap $700K deal. So we were speaking about the Leafs just a second ago there about how they brought in Dell, but maybe Forsberg will be the same thing where he might bump Smith on that backup spot. Forsberg hasn't played a significant amount of games, but he was playing in Chicago when Chicago was pretty bad. So
his 1 year in the NHL was basically, like you said, that year with Chicago. 908 save percentage, 297 goals against average in 35 games. So, nothing great, but Chicago wasn't great that year either, probably. And
so to be above 900,
he's not doing too bad. But the Oilers also didn't have a whole lot of options for the AHL goalie, so I think that was also a necessary just to fill out the AHL team.
Yeah, and much for the same reason that you were talking about with the compressed schedule. If one of those guys goes down, you need to have somebody who's at least shown that they can play in the NHL before. Move along here, I guess. What's next on your list?
One of the
here,
biggest
Sean?
re-signings of the week here. The Montreal Canadiens are keeping Brendan Gallagher around for 6 more years. He signed a $39 million contract, $6.5 million average annual value. So basically, the timeline for this signing was that one day, all the main hockey pundits, media people started saying that talks had broken down between the Habs and Gallagher's party. And then the next day, he goes and signs this massive long deal. So, something got leaked or misconstrued in the delivery process, and ultimately Gallagher staying in Montreal. $6.5 million for Brendan Gallagher is probably a fairly reasonable price. It's very comparable to, like, say, Chris Kreider or Matt Zuccarello's contracts. And, you know, he's historically like a 40, 50-point guy, but he's also a major part of Montreal's top line with Tatar and Danault. So he plays a much bigger role than just on the score sheet. He's huge for their two-way play. He's huge for the locker room. He's been there for a long time, so it's a good signing for them.
Yeah, and he was on pace to set some career highs this season too. He was playing really well during the regular season. Missed some time in the playoffs, and it was very noticeable when he was out. I mean, just at face value, it seems a little high for me, because he got basically a 200% raise on this from his last contract. But I mean, what you're saying, he's just a very important part to that team. We even saw when Bergevin was asked about him after, maybe this was before the signing was announced. Someone was asking about him and just how important he was, and Bergevin was starting to get emotional. He was starting to tear up a bit and just saying he's a special player and a special person, and you just know that a general manager doesn't say that just about any player, right?
I can't say I've ever seen or heard of that happening.
Yeah, unless it's Crosby or something, right? Unless it's a superstar player and it's someone that you've drafted and been with forever and won championships with. But I think this was after this signing was announced. But it was a weird timeline that you were talking about there, about how it came out he was unhappy and I don't know what was going on there. So maybe that fed into the emotion for Bergevin a bit.
Yeah.
About the prospect of losing.
Yeah, that would be a massive loss, and not one you can easily fill with a random other patchwork signing. But looking over to a different team that is bringing in just a lot of random patchwork roster players here, we've got the Ottawa Senators, who are bringing in Evgeny Dadonov on a 3-year, $15 million contract, so $5 million per season. So here's a guy I initially was like, that seems like a lot for him, before I realized that he actually scores 60 to 70 points in his couple of maiden seasons. Didn't realize he had that many points, so $5 million for a guy that can do that's not too bad. He's coming over from Florida. He's going to be looked at as a major piece of the offense of the Ottawa Senators. Going to get a lot of ice time, probably a lot of power play time, and a real good shot at putting up another 70, 80-point season here.
Yeah, I think there's definitely a bit of a premium on this contract for we could suck really bad, so here's a bit of extra money so you don't get too fed up with it. But yeah, I mean, 65, 70-point seasons. He's a good player. Instantly bolsters their top line.
I didn't realize he was 31. He spent a lot of time in Russia. I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's only been over here for a couple seasons.
He had a couple of tastes of the NHL, in 2011, 2012 or something, and then he went back to Russia until 3 years ago, and then finally came over here full time, or over to North America full time, I'll say.
So yeah, now the Ottawa Senators have quite a few Russians on their roster, because they've got Dadonov, Anisimov, Zaitsev, Abramov, Zub. So they've got a few. They've got I think they're kind of like the Ottawa Red Army right now. They're acquiring all the Russians in the league, and they're going to take over Canada's
it all
capital.
starts with hockey. That's so much of the historical relationship between Canada and USSR/Russia is the battle in hockey. So that's how it's going to happen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So we can kind of predict who they're going to sign next by what Russians are available. We'll have to take a look at the list of available free agents and see, okay, who's from Russia and who's going to sign on the Senators.
Moving on to the next. Oh yeah,
but yeah, I think it's a good addition for
sure.
The Senators for sure.
Moving on to the next re-signing here, Anthony DeAngelo re-signed with the Rangers. He got 2 years, $4.8 million per season.
The meme lord.
That's a contract.
Yeah. Again, it's kind of a. I mean, he does put up offense.
He's going to need
them.
every last penny of that contract to replace all of his equipment he lost when he got dangled by Aho in the playoffs.
Shots fired.
I say from the comfort of my home.
Yeah, I mean, good for him. I mean, he kind of got that like that 1 year deal at the end of last season. You know, pretty low AAV. So good for him to show that he's more valuable than that, and he's a a solid offensive piece of the blue line on that team, and they've got a lot of promising players.
The issue with that,
like especially with Lafreniere coming there,
that's like going to be a high power team. They're going to go like full 1980s, like all offense, no defense. Because I mean, looking at their blue line, like who do they have that is even right defensive, like a defensive defenseman, like someone who's recognized for that type of game, right? Closest would probably be Trouba.
Jack Johnson. I mean, Adam Fox is probably like their most offensive guy, I guess. Ryan Lindgren. But, I mean, they're not, I wouldn't say that either of them are like amazing, but serviceable. Brendan Smith? Nope. He was scratched and playing forward sometimes. Jack Johnson? Nope. Tony DeAngelo? No. And Trouba is serviceable.
Yeah.
So, yeah, it could be rough, but some of those guys are only there for one more season, and then after that, they might be getting some other better guys on the D line.
Yeah, you know what? It's gonna be an exciting team to watch. Those Rangers, looking at that roster, like with Panarin, Kreider, Zibanejad, Buchnevich, Kakko, Lafreniere, and like the offense from the blue line with like DeAngelo powering that, like they're gonna be fun to watch at least. Might give up 10 goals a game, but they're gonna be fun.
Yeah. Man, just looking at the Rangers buyout, they're spending so much money on buyouts. Dan Girardi, Ryan Spooner, Kevin Shattenkirk, Henrik Lundqvist, all next season.
Yeah, I think I mentioned that they've got $13 million in dead cap space with all the buyouts.
That's insane. That's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, they have a lot of promising young players right now, but I mean, just the amount of people on the buyout list there shows that they've kind of mismanaged some of their assets.
We see it's that old.
They weren't able.
You remember like early 2000s Rangers strategy was just like sign all of the high profile free agents. Like that's sort of
and then trade them to Tampa Bay.
Yeah, they sort of kept trying to do that, except the high profile free agents they got over the last 8 to 10 years were not the same quality as they were the 10 years prior to that. And they end up just being overpayments and having to buy them out because they're not the quality that they needed.
Yeah, I think like the one that kind of is different in there is Henrik Lundqvist.
Of course, yeah, Lundqvist
obviously.
Was not. He's not in that category at all.
It's just a shame that they weren't able to trade him either a year ago or something and avoid that $5.5 million buyout this season. Definitely hurts. And it's going to hurt when Hank starts in Madison Square Garden for the Capitals and wins a game. I
calling it.
I want that to happen so bad. And you know that Lundqvist wants to start that game too.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
yeah, he'll want to.
He's such a competitor. That'll be awesome. I hope that they win and he doesn't let any goals in, but it's going to be hard to stop Panarin and Zibanejad and Lafreniere and all those weapons.
Yep.
So I'm looking forward to that game during the season. If that is what's going to be happening, I don't know if teams are going to be playing in their own arenas or what, but that first game against the Rangers is going to be one that everybody should watch, I think.
Yeah, so that kind of covers most of the bigger free agent signings, and we still have like just a handful of people who are still unsigned. The list includes Mikhail Granlund, Mike Hoffman, Andy Green, Sami Vatanen, Dmitry Kulikov, Michael Frolik, and a guy like Travis Hamonic. Michael Grabner's on there as well, and yeah, Connor Sherry and Eric Halla. So there's still some key players that can move around throughout the rest of the offseason. So we'll have to wait and see where some of these guys go.
Yeah, and one more signing that I kind of wanted to mention just real briefly here is that Nolan Patrick signed a 1-year sub $1 million contract with the Philadelphia Flyers. So that's a good sign that he might be ready to play hockey at some point in the future.
Of course.
It was kind of unknown what was going on there. I mean, this might be a kind of give you a little bit extra before you're done or something deal. I don't know, but I'm really hopeful that he can play again, because it's been pretty sad.
Yeah, you kind of hope that because he was dealing with major
Yeah, it was some sort of migraine issue.
Yeah, it sounds like he was back practicing with the team in February,
resolving,
but never. I don't see anything that said he joined them back in the bubble situation, so I'm not sure if that was just because he wasn't, like, it was better just to give him the more time off to recover, or if he wasn't able to.
Yeah, I'm not sure. It's been a few months with no updates, so that signing was good to see.
So something else that popped up this week, too, in potential offseason moves is Patrick Laine's name, where his camp, his agent, the player, they say that a trade would be mutually beneficial. So they're kind of professionally and formally hinting that Laine wants out, that it would be best for him and probably the Jets it would be best for him and the Jets to trade Laine. So that's going to be. I'm very interested to see what the potential return could be, because Laine is a decent player, but he hasn't shown the ability to be much more than just a goal scorer. He had a decent offensive year where he finally put up more assists than goals and seemed more able to do playmaker, more well-rounded offensively, but not his full game, that he's still not trusted to really be on the first offensive line for the Jets even.
Yeah, and I'm curious as to what the Jets would want in return, because they're losing a top 6 forward. I don't think they really have anybody else that could slot in to that spot. So they might be asking for a top 6 forward in return. But I mean, we've talked at length about their defensive woes, so maybe they'd want a top end defender. But I mean, is it really going to be a team that wants to give up a top end defenseman right now, especially for a guy that is kind of one dimensional? I don't know. I think Laine is going to get better, and he's going to score a lot more goals in the league, so it's going to be tough to sell kind of low on him. But if he wants out, get out. Get something for him before he doesn't sign there again.
Like you said, probably they're going to need a defender, because they really need some help in the top 6 defenders, but it's also hard to trade him entirely for a defender when they're losing his 30-plus goals. And like you said, they don't have a whole lot to replace that. And that's a big loss to your offense when you lose that power play weapon, you lose that shot, you lose his abilities to create the play like that. So it's gonna be interesting to see what the eventual return player like him is.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of teams with lots of cap space. Maybe let's ship him to Detroit. Just all right. You want to go to a different team and play more minutes? Here you go. Go to Detroit. I don't know. I mean, maybe Buffalo. And then maybe you get like Rasmus Ristolainen back.
That's the thing. Ristolainen does not have a very good track record with fans and analysts. That he isn't actually a great defender. Doesn't seem to be. I just
know that he wants out.
Just on that note, though, Taylor Hall, Jack Eichel, Patrick Laine is your top line if he goes to Buffalo.
Exactly right.
What a line.
I mean, if I'm Buffalo, I'm making that call, saying, "Hey,
of course,
we're not in the same conference. Play each other twice a year. Let's make it happen." That's a move that would convince Taylor Hall, like, "Hey, let's make this a longer term thing." We start to get fans back on board.
Hey, and you know what? Like, it even works from Buffalo's perspective, because like Ralph Kruger has been great with young players. He's attracting talent on his own in Taylor Hall to come to Buffalo. So to move a guy like Laine is a younger player who's kind of maybe needs a little bit of like adjusting or just help adjusting to the NHL game. Get a guy like Ralph Kruger to help guide that, and maybe turns into an amazing 2-dimensional player.
If Buffalo adds Laine, so they've got Eichel, Hall, Laine, top line. Then they've got Skinner, Reinhart, Olofsson, second line. They also added Eric Stahl.
Holy crap.
They've got Cody Eakin, who can be their fourth line center. I don't know. I think that kind of makes sense for them on the forward end, but I don't know what they'd have to give up for him. If Winnipeg has no interest in Ristolainen, obviously they're not going to move.
I feel like that would
Dahlin.
probably be who they're going to, who would be like a centerpiece of that trade. Because I feel like Buffalo's probably got enough random other defenders and prospects to fill the hole that Ristolainen would make in the roster, and it would also help the cap space thing because Ristolainen's 5.4 is kind of only $1 million less than Laine's deal right now, so it'd probably work for them.
Okay, Buffalo, if you're listening, make this trade happen.
Jack
then
Eichel,
sign
if you're
Sammy
listening.
Vatanen. Then sign Sammy Vatanen for a pretty cheap deal after this. Bring him back into your defense, and then you're set. Get rid of the guy who's vocal about wanting to leave. Say, we're doing a reset. Get out of here. We want players who want to play here, want to win, trust the system, trust Jack Eichel's system, listen to Coach Jack Eichel, sign team-friendly deals with Jack Eichel. That's how we're going to be. I mean, the Buffalo Bills are one of the best teams right now in the NFL. If the Bills can turn it around, so can the Sabres. You just got to bring in that talent. And they went for Hall. They've still got space. They've got, $13 million in space or something. So
Probably. They've got a cheap roster.
Make it happen.
One last noteworthy thing from this week is that earlier on Monday here, the legendary broadcaster Doc Emmerich announced that he will be retiring from broadcasting. So we're gonna miss his calls. I'm gonna miss his calls actually.
Hit the post with the shot.
Gonna miss it. He's creative.
Sure.
He's very creative, and it's he's always got something different to say, some sort of different descriptor or adjective to add on to things. So it's gonna be a huge gap to fill in filling his shoes.
Yeah, absolutely. He does all of the NBC big games. He did the playoffs. He does the Wednesday night rivalry games. He's all over the place. He used to be in the NHL video games, was replaced, and it's very noticeable that it's not Doc and it's not as high quality. Yeah, like you were saying, he's got so many different words. He's got about 150 different things he says for making a pass. It's just very personable, and he's a very unique broadcaster, and it's gonna be sad that he's not in the booth anymore. But I mean, he has been there for a long time, so maybe there's somebody who's been waiting for this opportunity that can shine as well. So I'm interested to see who fills that spot, because I don't know. I mean, NBC, who else do they even have? Anyone?
I watch the Canadian broadcast almost all the time, so I don't even know who the main people they have are.
Yeah, I hope Joe Beninati, the Caps guy, doesn't apply for it.
Oh yeah,
because he's been around for a long time. He used to broadcast games that were on OLN back in the day, if you remember those.
Nope.
Way back in the day. So he used to do, I think, some national games, but yeah, I mean, I'm sure there might be a fan base that loses their fave because he gets bumped up. So yeah, what a hell of a career for Doc. I think he's called 35 or 25 or something like that. Stanley Cup Finals.
Oh, absolutely.
Called the Olympics. Just lots of stuff. So
a broadcaster like him gets all of the big
hats off
assignments.
to Doc, and his weirdo laugh.
It's
legendary.
Still my favorite clip of all time. Yeah, posted that on Instagram a couple of months back. Stumbled across it in my feed again, so I posted that on Instagram a couple of months back, and it's always good for just a shock. Is wait, what noise was that?
Absolute legend. So no more Doc. Maybe he'll come out for the odd game. I don't know. But also Bobby Mack. I think this was last season, but he was saying that he's taking a step back.
Big time, yeah. I think he's doing World Juniors and draft stuff, but he's stepping back from regular coverage and day-to-day and trade stuff, which, I mean, another legendary career. I was going to say just another legendary career, and he's one of the most trusted and reliable insiders and reporters in the game, so that'll be another huge miss.
Bob Cole, Bob McKenzie, Doc Emmerich. It's kind of the end of the era.
It'll be different. So I think that wraps things up for this time here on Clappercast. Make sure you rate, review, and subscribe to our show on any podcast platform and spread around the good word of Clappercast. To keep up to date with the latest content, you can follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Clappercast Media or on Twitter at Clappercast. Let us know who your off-season winners and losers are in the comments there. We'll be back next week with more hockey talk.